Today's show is brought to you by Manscaped. You know, the leaders in below the waistline grooming and the innovators, the creators of that Lawnmower 4.0, which is phenomenal. I mean, when you talk about that below the waist care, you know, when you talk about keeping your lawn nice and neat, I always think, you know, just in real life, like when people go to your house and they look at your lawn, you want it to be nice and kept neat when you get company over, right? Because it's nothing worse than company comes over, they see your lawn and like, oh, what is this?
Yeah, you don't want any dog crap in the yard either.
Yeah, no dog crap, but definitely no bushes and no weeds, whatever you do, okay? But the Lawnmower 4.0 will make sure that you are covered. They will make sure that the grass is low so all of your tree will show, okay? And you want that, okay? It looks better that way. That's what I've heard at least, okay? So with that being said, you can't just check them out. You got to use the promo code. And ladies and gentlemen, we know what the promo code is. It is MOATS. Get you 20% off of your purchase and free shipping worldwide at manscaped.com. So stop wasting time. Hit them up because your delicate twins and friends will thank you.
One thing on Witherspoon. Should we say now? I was gonna mention, like, what would you want to give him contract wise? Because I actually thought that was an interesting conversation.
Well,
he keeps playing like this.
Let's talk about it then. Because obviously, as we always do, we're gonna work through the game recap as we're kind of doing it anyways. But we'll continue this through these chats. But with Ahkello, I think that he's definitely played himself into a good amount of money. When you talk about the cornerback position, it's a premium position, right? Because you know that really has an impact on your wins and losses, right? And that's kind of the fastest way to get beat defensively is if you got a guy that can't cover, can't keep the top on the defense. I do think with Ahkello, especially of late as well, he's playing with a lot more confidence, a lot more swag. You can see him celebrating, just feeling good when he's out there on the field, just good energy. But I think his ball skills are there. I think athletically he possesses all the things. I mean, even when we go back and I think about when we talked to Garvin, right? Terrence Garvin, when we first traded for Ahkello, he was saying like, man, Ahkello has the tools, but it's going to be interesting to see like how he meshes, how is he mentally, emotionally, like when he gets here and connects and stuff like that. And I thought early on it was a little mixed match, you know, and we thought at times that he wasn't necessarily living up to it and he wasn't even getting the opportunities as much either. But ever since he came on the show, it changed. Nah, I'm playing. But in all seriousness though, man, that Vikings game really turned the corner for him in terms of him getting his hands on footballs. And now from there, you see just the PBUs in the Chiefs game. You see the interception that would have been in the Chiefs game. It wasn't for a penalty. The interception
almost
last
had
night.
One in a Ravens game.
Yeah, like the dude he's hitting a hot streak and he's doing it at the perfect time because recency bias, right? If you do this the first 5 games of the season and then you drop off, nobody remembers it, right? No different than us a year ago. We started 11-0. But hardly anyone brings it up because of how it ended, right? So for Ahkello, the slow start necessarily didn't hurt him because he's finishing on such a high clip that once the season ends, man, the team, they're going to be remembering this. You remember plays you make in November and December because they count for more, is weighted more this time of year because you got playoff position and stuff like that. So for him, he's going to get a good amount of money. The interesting part will be if he's priced himself out of Pittsburgh. That's the part that we would have to see because on the open market, he is going to command, he should be commanding some decent money because of the size he has, the athletic ability. But now you're coupling that with productivity. Whereas when he went to Seattle from San Fran, it was they're paying him because they think he can grow into that full-time guy.
He was helter-skelter with the Niners.
Right. Whereas for us right now, he's putting together, you know, a nice little December, January time frame right here. So if he keeps doing that, teams are going to say that and say, well, you know, if you're doing it this time of year, this has to be real. And when it's real, people want to pay for that. And that's the part for us where we could, best case scenario is Kevin Colbert gets the deal done with Ahkello before he could talk to anyone else. Because once Ahkello could talk to other teams, it's a wrap. Because now the number goes up because you get into the bidding war.
Yeah, maybe Ahkello likes it good enough here being with multiple organizations and seeing how he's playing, how the Steelers are using him, and how he's having success. Maybe he just would want to stick here and at least give it another year or two. You know what I mean? Maybe he could try to get a second bigger contract down the line. I do wonder how much his time with the Niners and Seahawks will affect his contract, though, where it's just like you're seeing the hot streak right now for 4 or 5 games. But then you look at the full body of work. Is someone going to be really willing to give him like a 3-4 year deal?
Yeah.
Double digits. Like right now, I'm thinking like 6-7 is a good range.
Well, I also
safe range.
But I also say this 6 or 7. But at the same time, if you can't come into an agreement with a number, does he become a potential franchise candidate? Because we talked about beforehand with Joe Hayden being a franchise tag candidate.
That's to me,
watching how Ahkello has played, I would much rather make my bet with him next year than coming back with Joe. Even though we know Joe is a good player still, Joe is at the end of it. And we know, he's capped right now just based on age and just part of playing that long in the NFL. Like, you start to decline. Whereas Ahkello, we don't know how good he can really be. Is this the ceiling or is this the floor for him? Because with that being the case, if this is his floor, and now with more confidence, and now if he can actually have a full offseason, because remember, he doesn't have a full offseason here. You throw that in there, you really get into this culture, you start to understand this defense on a higher level like Minkah. Now what does that look like for him? Those are the questions to me that, based off of his productivity these past couple of weeks,
you would at least like to give a chance.
But I would have to look to see like if they could even do that with him. I would need to look into it. But man, he definitely is a guy that I think you consider for that if it's available to you.
Oh, 100%.
Or
yeah,
even
I'm all about bringing him back.
Even a transition tag. Because that's what we did with Worlds, right? You think about Worlds in 2014. He had 13 was the big season, 7 sacks, right? And it was the breakout. It was, man, we haven't seen this before. You don't want a franchise tag because it commits too much money.
Top 5 money.
But you don't want to let him just leave either. So you transition tag, so you at least have a buffer where, hey, you're going to get good money, but if a team tries to pick you up, I can at least, match it or get something in compensation for that, right? So that is an alternative potentially for him where it's a little bit more cost friendly. Now, you do expose him potentially to other teams, but you already set a baseline money-wise, and you already let him know that, hey, we want you here. We just don't want you at this number, but this is a number that we're willing to commit to right off the break. And that's going to be more than what we would probably negotiate with you on a per year basis right now, just because the sample size is so small with him.
Oh, for sure. And you keep playing like this next year, you'll get your big money then.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely like how Ahkello's playing, dude. It's been awesome. I mean, especially coming from Pierre, that 3-4 game stretch where it felt like he was getting burned left and right. It just felt like, dude, if we're going to have Ahkello Witherspoon, if we're going to trade that pick for him, and he has all this potential and untapped growth that we don't know about, why not give him a chance at least? And then we gave him a chance, and he's been excelling. Like, big shout out to him.
He definitely has, man.